Mimi and Weezus. Why
Hey
did I say it
guys,
like
what's
that? Let me
good?
start over.
You said it too artificial,
I
bro.
said, hey everyone, it's Mimi and Weezus.
You put and it's the Mimi and Waze show. You know
It's
what I mean?
my man Weezus. Thank you for tuning in.
And then I'll be like, Waze baby. No, I'm just kidding.
um,
All right, guys. Today we got a special topic. We're gonna cover Selena.
so we're actually gonna cover like the death of Selena and the timeline leading up to it because the movies, you get to see how she died and all that, but you don't get the details of behind it. That makes sense. The details behind the death, you just know like someone killed her, someone shot her in the back. So
But there's it's like a spider web of stuff before her
yeah,
death sequentially happened. So that's what we're
exactly.
trying to hit on.
So we'll start with the beginning. Selena was like at the peak of her career, right? So she had just won a Grammy the year before. She was actually nominated for another one. I think it was like a month before or something like that. She just performed at the Astrodome in Houston, and she had like the biggest crowd ever. I think it was 60,000 people or something like that. That's insane.
Wasn't her deal like the first like female artist to fill up that thing? Something
No,
like that?
she was the first Mexican American artist to do like. Well, actually, I don't know if it was the Astrodome. Sorry, I'm thinking of like the Billboard charts. She was like the first, at least the first female Latin artist to like hit number one. So like her English album, like the Dreaming of You and that one, though, because I
Yeah.
used to listen to that all the time when I was little. I like cry for no reason. I hadn't like what did I experience? Like late at night when all I'm like, why the fuck am I sad? Like I don't even I'm 9. What the hell?
I'll be
Oh,
dreaming.
yeah.
Just crying, dude, for no reason.
Um,
Like, I miss you.
I know I miss you. I never even knew her, dude. I didn't even know. Um, so she gets like nominated for Grammys and all that. She didn't win the Grammy that year because I think she was nominated for like best Mexican American album. I think it was
Yeah.
album, not artist. I think it was album. She didn't win, but she did like win that year before. But she had all these plans, dude. Like her and her husband had just purchased it was like 10 acres of land in Texas, and they were gonna build their house on it. They were planning their family and all this stuff, right? So it sucks because she had this whole future ahead of her, and her career was just popping off right then and there. So here's where it starts. So, like 3 weeks before her death, this is where shit started to get a bit rocky. She
It
had
just went off the deep end, dude, for no reason.
Yeah, so she has a falling out with Yolanda, which is her murderer. And Yolanda just was like the president of her fan club originally, right?
Yeah, let's
And
give some context to Yolanda though, like right
yeah,
away. She
yeah,
like Yolanda is like he's a Texas native like Selena. She was a nurse. She was a nurse before starting the fan club, and then initially she didn't just start the fan club. She asked Selena's dad, what's his name, Abraham.
yeah,
He asked his dad initially if she could start the fan club, and then Abraham initially thought like, oh yeah, go ahead. Like he didn't think it was gonna get any traction or anything, and
yeah.
then boom, it blew up,
Popped off, dude.
popped
And
off.
so she's the president of this, right? So she manages all the fans, and she's just like in today's day and age, she would be like running all those fan pages on Instagram and like setting up all these like Selena memorabilia things, like stuff like that. But
Oh,
back then
probably
she
running the
couldn't.
merch store, you know.
Yeah, so that's like exactly. So, but back then like they didn't have all that, so she was just like the leader of this fan club, right? So 3 weeks before her death, her and Selena end up having like this big falling out. Selena had opened like a few boutiques like in San Antonio and then one in Corpus Christi in Texas. And since they had been like I guess they had like developed a relationship with Yolanda just through the fan club because like all the work she had done, right?
Yeah.
So they like instead of just running the fan club, she gets this promotion basically to like be managing all the boutiques, so the two boutiques. Then like keep in mind this is 3 weeks before she dies, right? People start complaining and like telling Selena's dad like, "Hey, we're not getting our little knickknacks that we're purchasing from here, like I'm paying for this stuff and we're not getting it." So people like aren't receiving the items that they're paying for. And so they hear this complaint. Oh, and they hear that she might be like stealing money, right? So on March 9th, 1995, this is a couple weeks before she dies, right? Selena and her dad and her sister, they go and confront Yolanda and they're like, hey, this is the shit we're hearing. What's going on? And at this point, she's just like denying things. She's like, "Oh no, I don't know what's happening. This is crazy, right?
It couldn't be me. What do you mean?
You trust me, like it can't be me, right?" So then 2 weeks before her death, this is the day that Selena finds out that like Yolanda has a gun, that she had purchased a gun, right? This is 2 weeks before her death. Selena at this point obviously knows that Yolanda's like a lying piece of shit and she does not want to work with her anymore. But she doesn't really have she doesn't really have much of a choice, right? Because everything's like being managed by her, so she's trying to figure out what to do at this point. It's only been a week since she found this stuff out, but she doesn't cut ties with her or anything. Maybe that was the first mistake right there.
Oh, but here's something too that like
Yeah.
it was initially too what you said, like the falling out right
Mhm.
there. There's something else that Yolanda was Selena was recording her album, like her last album,
Yeah.
and Yolanda was trying to like get into the studio, like like interrupt, like trying to get the attention because I don't know, something that they don't say. They literally don't say in any video I saw or anything I saw that she was obsessed with her. But that's
Yeah.
clearly what it was.
Oh,
Like you could tell Yolanda was
100%.
obsessed with her.
Like you
Like
don't
she
start a
just
fan club
wanted,
for someone if you're not obsessed. Like I joined the
yeah.
Twilight fan club, but I could tell you right now I don't know where Taylor Lautner lives, and I'm not freaking following him on the streets, you know? Like I did sign up for a fan club. I won't lie, but I mean, you like to do that and to like manage all their stuff and be so obsessed with them that you like infiltrate their fucking family and stuff. Like that's straight up obsession. Like she's a stalker and she's crazy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, back to what I was saying, dude.
sorry.
So she was in the recording studio. So the dad was like Abraham was like, hey man, like leave, like you can't be here. Like she's doing her thing. And
Yeah.
she's like, no, Selena needs me, this and that. Well, that's what initially led her to buy the gun, because the dad like kicked her out, said that she wasn't allowed here anymore. Like
Mm.
that's when the dad cut ties with her.
Yeah, so that's when shit starts getting rocky. Okay. So,
Yeah,
see, I didn't know that part. I didn't know that that's like, because I was wondering, like, why did she go buy a gun? Like, why all of a sudden, you get accused of something and then you're just like, you know what? I'm going to go buy a gun. I don't know. Like, it's weird, right? So,
because I feel like maybe she thought she was like, oh, I'm gonna get fired
yeah, probably.
or
So
caught.
here's where, yeah. Well, and then so after Selena doesn't cut ties with her, she then realizes that she had given Yolanda like access to a lot of like financial documents and stuff, right? Important documents. And they're missing. There's like a lot of financial records and shit just MIA. So this is actually from her husband's book. He wrote like a memoir in like 2012 about her, which I want to read. It would be pretty cool to read. But he wrote like dates and stuff in there about what happened. So he says like around March 15th ish, Selena wanted to get that paperwork back. So she like reaches out to Yolanda and is like, I want my documents. I need to get these from you. And she's like, all right, well, we'll meet up. So they go and meet, and they meet in her car, by the way. So like Selena rolls up, Yolanda gets in Selena's car and is like, well, here's some documents. So she gave her some documents, but she didn't give her all the documents. But at this time in the car, Yolanda like opens her purse and is like, look what I got. And she like shows her a gun in her purse. And apparently like Selena came home and told Chris, her husband, that like, oh, she showed me a gun, blah blah blah. And she just like wasn't phased by it, he said. That she just was like unfazed by it, and that she told Yolanda like, you need to go return that gun. Stop being crazy. Go return it. Like, what are you doing? And so apparently Yolanda like listened to her. This is where you know like she's obsessed, because Yolanda was like, okay, I'll go return it. So Yolanda goes back to the store that she purchased it on, and she bought the gun on March 11th, right? So this is like 4 days later is when she's meeting up with them, or 3 days later.
Yeah,
So she goes in, gets a background check and all this stuff done on March 11th. She picks the gun up on March 13th, and then she meets with Selena on like the 15th. Then anyway, she takes the gun back after Selena's like, "Yo, take it back, you crazy maniac," like whatever. So she takes the
yeah.
gun
Like,
back.
what's you doing, baby girl?
Yeah, like why the fuck did you buy a gun? Like this is over the top, right? So then a week before her death, she ends up going to Tennessee because she's working on that English album, the one we were talking about at the beginning. So she's gone for a
Yeah.
while. And then there's like in this time frame where she's like in Tennessee, she's working on the album with people. She's like doing her thing. She's not dealing with too much drama then, right? Because she's in Tennessee, she's not in Texas. So then, leading up to the night before her death. So she's dealing with all this crazy stalker stuff, and people are just like, it is what it is. Like, it makes no sense, right? So was she telling people about what was actually happening besides her husband? Like, what was going on here?
I feel like
So,
maybe like Selena, like the way she might have been saying it because the way that people talk about Selena is that she had this innocence to her. Like
Yeah, she was very kind,
she would
apparently.
maybe she would just blow things off. Like maybe she saw the red flags and then she would tell people, and people would be like, "Don't worry, like she's just
Yeah.
crazy." Like
Or,
like blowing it off.
well, and she had already built a relationship with Yolanda too through all those years in the fan club and all that stuff. So you think like me and you are the same way, as like if you trust someone and they like do you wrong and they're like, "Hey, I'm sorry," and we're like, "Okay, I'll give you another chance," And they had such a long relationship and like been
It's
so
like three
trusted.
million and one chances. It's like I don't know, man. I don't think I can trust him.
I don't know, dude. I trusted you last 3 million times, but well, that's probably what was going on, is that she's like, "Oh, I trust her." So then you don't want to like look at them in a negative light because that's always there. Like even in like an abusive relationship with like a partner or something that happens, you like want to see the best in them and you're like, "Oh, they love me," so she's probably doing that at this point. So anyways, Yolanda takes his gun back. So then the night before Selena dies, this is on March 30th, 1995. So keep in mind, I was like a little over, like I was almost a year old, at this point. So I'm like a baby when this is happening, which is crazy to me because I feel like I was there. It's weird. It
You
is.
were
It's
there
very
at the
weird.
hotel. You're
I
like
was.
in
I was like
LA,
watching it, dude. Like
or
maybe,
I mean in LA and in Texas.
yeah, in Texas. So Yolanda called Selena actually, and she tells her like, "Hey, I have the rest of those documents for you. Let's meet up." She asked. This is the weird part: is Yolanda actually asked Selena to come alone? She said, "Come by yourself. I'll give them to you if you come alone." Selena didn't go alone though. She asked her husband like, "Hey, let's go." So Chris and Selena go and meet Yolanda at the Days Inn, at the hotel or the motel where this murder ends up happening later. So they go and meet her at the motel. Selena didn't get all the documents from her, just like the fucking last time, and then just left the hotel. No incidents, no shootings, no fights, whatever. They go and they spends the rest of the evening with Chris and Chris's father. I guess her like father-in-law was visiting at the time, so they're just chilling. What Selena didn't know is that Yolanda's bitch ass went back and bought the gun again on March 26th. So she like returns it and then she goes back and buys it again. So like if you don't think that's sus as fuck, and the fact that the gun store was like again, okay, okay,
Okay, Miranda. Here's something that I learned that's relating to her getting the gun again.
yeah,
Is okay. So Selena, the way she was getting her to like get the documents back because she was kind of realizing like, oh, they're gonna fire me. I'm caught, right? Like
yeah,
this was the problem, right? So what Selena did was tell her like, I'm gonna open a boutique in Monterrey, Mexico.
yes,
Like
yes,
I want you to run it. Like, and I guess I guess Yolanda kind of like figured it out from there. She's like, okay, I'm gonna go get this gun. I'm about to get fired. Like,
yeah. She's like,
there's
I'm done for,
something.
dude. Yeah.
Okay, so
So
there that's why she got the gun again because
okay,
she's like
she
fuck
she had a feeling like something's gonna go down.
yeah.
So the day of the murder, here's where it all happens. Um, Selena actually went to the hospital with Yolanda the morning of her death because Yolanda had told her when she went to Mexico. This does make sense now about the whole store thing because they were actually in Mexico in that same area, and she had told Selena that she got raped when she was there and that she wanted to go to the hospital. So Selena took her into the hospital, like being a good friend, took her to the hospital to get like an exam done and stuff to make sure like she was okay, right? This is the thing is that the story Yolanda had told Selena about like how much she bled and like what happened during the assault and like all this stuff was different because when they got there she told the doctors a different story about like how much she bled out like from there down there and stuff like that, which is crazy, right? So I guess Selena got mad at her and was like, why you fucking lying, like it was like
Yeah,
that.
well, I think it's because maybe the doctors were like, hey, I don't think anything happened to her. I think she's just
Yeah,
like lying.
yeah. And so then Selena was like, what the fuck. So then the hospital wouldn't even perform like a full exam on Yolanda because the assault didn't happen in Texas. It happened in Mexico. So like that's out of their jurisdiction. So they can't really like they can probably do like a rape kit and that's like about it. They can't like you can call the police and stuff, but what are they gonna do? Like it's out of their jurisdiction. So it would be for like a sexual assault, it's really hard, especially across like the border like that to get someone in trouble. For murders and stuff, it's different. It takes forever. But anyways, so because she was not a resident of Corpus Christi, Texas, which is where she went to the hospital, and it was out of their jurisdiction, they just didn't finish the exam. So then after this, both of them go back to the hotel. When Selena asked her, like, okay, can I have my records now? Give them back. Boom. At this point, she's shot. So she comes back from taking her to get her rape exam, goes into her room, and then she's dead. So in that time frame, it says that she was shot. She did make it from Yolanda's room 158 at the Days Inn. She made it to the lobby and was able to be like, I need help. And she was bleeding really bad. So she, I guess, fell on the ground. And then like people were calling 911 and saying like they know who did it. The last thing Selena said before she died was it was Yolanda, room 158, you know, and like I think in the 911 calls you said you can hear all that going on in the background.
Yeah.
And then she just dies. She was only shot one time too, in a specific artery that you'll bleed out from if you get shot in it. So like, which is also crazy that would happen. And so
And
the story,
it's even more
you know,
crazy because she was shot in the back.
yeah. So she was walking away.
She was walking away.
Sorry, I hate Yolanda, dude.
I think that's the thing, right? Everyone, all my niggas hate Yolanda.
Everyone hates Yolanda, dude. So there was no actual witness to the shooting itself. So here's the crazy part: is like we don't know what happened. We don't know if there was an argument or if Selena was like, "I'm done with this. Like I'm pissed," and she goes to leave, and Yolanda's like, "Not so fucking fast." Boom. Or like we have no idea what happened. Was there an altercation
And then
before?
I think
We don't know.
what's even more that doesn't make sense is after the fact, after the shooting in this, they had a standoff for
10
9
hours.
hours or 10
Yeah,
hours. Yeah,
it was 9 to 10 hours. Yeah, it was a long ass time.
and the lady was in her car just holding the gun to her head,
like kill yourself then. Stop.
Kill yourself. Yeah.
do
She
it.
literally, I think she waited it out till the cops were like, if you don't kill yourself, we won't kill you, or you won't go to jail, or something, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, they had a long standoff. So when Selena, this is what in the videos and stuff I had watched, when she was in the lobby, she, was like bleeding out and she could barely talk, and then she became unconscious pretty quickly because she was bleeding so bad. She had like said like, oh, it was Yolanda or whatever, and then she said the room number, room 158, and that was it. That was the last thing she spoke, and then she was basically dead when paramedics got there. So they take her to the hospital. The 911 call was made at 11:50 a.m. on March 31st, right? And then she was taken to the hospital where, this is where things get tricky, is they were Jehovah's Witnesses, which is weird because I didn't know that was like a Mexican thing, to be honest. I just didn't think that. I don't know. I need to do more research on that. She was a Jehovah's Witness.
What's the word? You're uncultured? No, I'm just
yeah, bro. I didn't know that was like a Mexican thing to be like a Jehovah's Witness. I had no idea. I thought it was like, I don't know. I don't want to get into that, but anyways.
I thought it was only white people.
I did. I thought it was like white people. I have known like a few black people who are Jehovah's Witnesses, but I've never met a freaking Jehovah's Witness Mexican. I haven't, dude. And but like I also don't. I'm probably yelling. I don't know. I'm getting so into the story. Anyways, okay. So I didn't know that they were Jehovah's Witnesses. So this actually has a lot to do with this story because there was like a ton of conspiracies that like her dad let her die because Jehovah's Witnesses can't get blood transfusions. It is completely against their religion. Like they will go to hell or some crazy shit if they do it, right? But contrary to what they say, like the doctor did testify and say no, they were able to give her blood transfusions and stuff. Who knows if it was a lie that he could have been paid off?
And I think there's another interview that I saw that the dad literally just said, he's like, no, that's a myth. It's a rumor. He's like, I told him to do everything. Yeah, I told him to do to let everything to save her.
Yeah. So she got blood transfusions and everything, and then they just pronounced her dead at 1:05 p.m. So she, was probably already dead when she got there from bleeding out and everything. But then
maybe there was just like a faint heartbeat. That's why they tried so hard.
Yeah, they tried very hard, And so then they like take her in. They don't take her in. So then she's dead. Whatever, they had renounced she's dead. Then they don't know where Yolanda's like. So at this point, on the 911 calls, which you can listen to, and we can even link them in our bio if you guys want to listen to them after this episode. You can listen to the 911 calls, and like the people aren't really sure. Like they say everyone's confused because she comes in and then she passes out pretty quickly after, right? But she did say Yolanda, room 158. So people are like, the suspect's name is Yolanda. She's room 158. The police are like, where is she? And they're like, she took off on foot in her car. And they're like, we don't know. She just left. So they find her in her car, right? Like you said, they have a 10-hour standoff with her. It takes them 10 hours to catch her because she's threatening to kill her.
What they said that Yolanda did, bro, is that she basically shot her, right? And then instead of running after her, she just went back to the room, and that she picked up her stuff. She picked up the documents. She made sure not to touch any blood on the floor. Like they say, like the footsteps were like they could tell like where she stepped meticulously, like where to avoid the blood because there was no blood on her.
Yeah,
which is a little weird, right?
Yeah.
and that she just went to the car, and that she that's where initially that's where Chris found her. Chris is the one that found her, and then that's when the cops arrived and all this.
Ah, okay. I didn't know Chris was the one who found her. So we'll kind of talk about like the aftermath too. Sorry, I like choked. My mouth was all dry. Let me take a drink.
You're like, let me get a sip of that water.
Yeah, I was like SpongeBob, dude. So let's talk about the aftermath a little bit, right? So they eventually, like, they get Yolanda. She goes to jail. She doesn't get sentenced until I think October of that year, where she was convicted, she was convicted of murder. She's sentenced to life in prison. But here's the real fucking banger, dude. She's up for parole soon, and she's got good behavior and stuff, so she's gonna be probably getting out early 2025 because she'll be eligible for parole after 30 years. She's already been in there 28 years. Hear this shit. The 28 years that she's been in there, she has been in protective custody the entire fucking time. So this is where I want to cover more about Yolanda. Because, so let me, out of respect, let's talk about Selena for a second after she died. So 50,000 people, from just public people, not family members and stuff, obviously, they came and paid their respects right before the funeral. There was thousands, hundreds and thousands of people, all over the world who were celebrating her and like remembering her and all this stuff.
You should tell them that they had her casket or her funeral thing. They put it at the convention center in Corpus Christi. And then on that day, like I think the day after she died, right? And they had the funeral, or I don't know when they had the funeral, after. Like you said, 50,000 people just came, gave her respects.
And what's crazy is that people thought it was some conspiracy, just like Tupac and like all that stuff. So people think that she's not really dead. So then her family actually didn't plan on having an open casket, but they had to change it to like an open casket because people thought this was like fake. People didn't believe it. So they had to like present the body to the public because people literally didn't believe it. So her family, that's why they had an open casket for people to go and actually see her body because people didn't believe that she was dead. But so here's some cool facts about her, though. Like, even 2 decades after she was killed, right? 2 decades, she obviously remains very famous. Everyone knows who she is. Dreaming of You, that's the one we were just talking about. It came out, it actually, like, her family released it after she died. That's the song that hit #1 on the US Billboard charts. And that was the first ever Latin artist to hit #1. That's what her accomplishment was. So I had written that down because I didn't want to get the facts wrong. But yeah, so she was the first ever Latin artist to hit #1. And that was after she died, right? And then that movie, the one with Jennifer Lopez pretending to be her, Selena, came out, which is the best one, so everyone should watch it. And then, Selena Gomez and stuff. Selena Gomez was named after her and stuff. Like, she's, everyone knows her, right? And then there's even like a MAC makeup. They have like a whole collection for her, like of eyeshadows and cool stuff. People still know who she is. And like, you can go to any store, you can buy, especially vintage stores, you can get all her shirts. I don't speak Spanish, right? My grandparents did, but I can remember her songs in Spanish, which is crazy. Like, I have memories to all her music.
You're like, I can sing them without an accent, and then I try singing anything else, and it's like, como se dice? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm like, como se dice. But then when all of a sudden, if it's her song, I can sing her songs. It's very weird. But I mean, I think all kids could, especially growing up in places like New Mexico and like Texas and Arizona, even.
All these. You got them people speaking Spanish. And English.
Yes. This was like the shit, dude. Like, she still is. I was actually listening to her yesterday. I love her, dude. I want to watch that movie. I'm gonna watch it tonight, dude. And then,
dude, that movie, seeing it as a kid, it destroyed me because I didn't like you said, like, for me growing up, Mexican, there isn't a lot of people out there. Or by the time I grew up, they were all over, right? But like at the time, it was only Selena and Vicente Fernandez, and those are the only 2 Mexicans that were like up there, like that you knew.
And her husband, Chris, right? He was from Cumbia Kings, remember? So he ended up being. Was that before or after? I think it was after she passed away.
It's after.
Then he went with Cumbia Kings, and I used to listen to them when I was little too.
Oh yeah, for sure, damn.
But what was I gonna say? It had something to do. Oh, my Spanish teacher. If she listens to this, shout out to her, dude. 7th and 8th grade, best Spanish teacher to walk this planet. She showed us Selena every year. she showed it to all her classes. There was just a day where you got to watch the movie, and I think it was longer than the class period, so we got like 2 days, where we got to watch it.
Oh
And like
yeah, half and
her,
half,
she
and
made,
you're like,
yeah, she
oh.
made her classes so fun because we got to like watch Selena every year. It didn't matter, if you had a class in 7th and 8th grade, there was Selena Day, and everyone would be like, woo, and we got to watch it no matter what. That is something she never like. She was a really fun Spanish teacher, and she's still probably, I think she's retired now, but she showed it to, after it came out, she showed it to all her classes all those years, every year. Isn't that crazy? I mean, it was important. But anyways, so back to bitch ass Yolanda. So Yolanda, okay, so I actually got a lot of facts because there's a guy whose wife actually worked for the prison that she's in. And so
Oh.
he gave details, about like what his wife doesn't work there anymore, so I can't give the name of the poster. It was on Reddit, so and he like gave a lot of details, right? So she's been in prison 28 years, right? She has been in protective custody that whole entire time. So she has been in like solitary confinement. She is alone 24/7, except for like she gets to come out to eat, and like she's just segregated. She's kept separate from everyone because she's gotten so many death threats. She's gotten hate mail. She's gotten death threats through the mail. She's gotten death threats from the inmates. So they can't even have her around the other inmates
There's
because
even rumors, bro, that
they
even
will
the
literally,
cartel is in there, dude.
they
Like,
will, dude. They will. She's like, if she gets out on parole, they better put her in witness protection, dude, because that bitch is dead. Like, I'm
yeah,
not gonna do it. Like, someone is. Like, she's literally
it's like you
so
you killed
hated.
a folklore hero, like
Exactly. No, like, and so she's been in protective custody this whole time, right? This is where shit gets crazy because this guy is saying like everything that his wife got to see in there, right? So this is a lot of reading, so I'm just gonna try and like squish it down a little bit. So she's not. There was rumors for a long time that she was like on death row. She's not on death row. She was just sentenced to life in prison for murder, right? The prison that she's in has a lot of death row inmates that go there, so people really got confused about that. She is right beside all the women on death row because like there's like a unit for death row inmates. So like they suffer. Like they're segregated, they have to sit in solitary confinement, right? So
yeah.
she's in the same prison as them and stuff. She's a lifer though, so what's whatever. But she's literally, so she's not just like a mentally ill person who's just like, I'm kind of mad, I'm gonna like murder someone. I guess that's not normal. So anyway, she's like a literal psychopath, and let me tell you why. So she actually hasn't done many interviews at all. She's only done like a few interviews with people since the murder. And she's at one point was saying that, oh, it was an accident. Really, how do you shoot someone in the fucking back on accident? I don't know. But like she said all these things, right? Here's some crazy shit. So when people are on like they use it as punishment in prison. You see it in prison movies all the time. They do like, oh, we're gonna send you to the shoe. We're gonna send you solitary. You're gonna be in there all by yourself. People go fucking crazy. Like sitting in a dark room. They don't have sunlight. They don't have windows in solitary. It's just a dark little box. You sit in there alone with your own thoughts. You can maybe read a book. That's all you get. She
I think
in
she's
the
a
whole,
she's a little different, bro. She's in a
no,
white room.
she's a fucking psychopath. She has not the entire time that she's been there, or at least while this lady worked at the prison, she never had like a mental breakdown. She never complained about being in solitary. She never cried. She had no remorse. She just dealt with being alone. She never went crazy. She's been alone for 28 years. All she gets is the inmates, or sorry, the guards and stuff like telling her what to do and where to go. And that's literally fucking it. And then she just chills by herself, and she has not had a single incident of being crazy or having a meltdown or like nothing. But she said like she was so emotionless all the time.
God, bro, like a straight, like you said, like a psychopath, straight psychopath.
Literally.
But it does make sense, bro, because there is an interview that I saw where she's kind of a little delulu, you know what I mean, a little delusional.
Yeah.
Um, where she says that Selena called her mom and shit,
I
and
mean, it's possible. Like they were very close, so it's crazy.
yeah, maybe right, maybe it could have been true, but I feel like nah, it's a little too excessive.
Forget.
So during that interview, they talk about like why'd you kill her? It's like I didn't kill her. Like she's my best friend. She's my life. Like
Yeah.
just all this. Like she never takes like you said. She didn't feel any remorse for killing her. Like she never took responsibility.
No. I think she's finally admitted to killing her now. But at first I think she was like she was almost like in denial, or she was just fucking lying, like honestly. But
I don't
they
know,
did
just trying to cover her own butt, I guess.
when she did an interview, she admitted that she tried to like simulate an assault. Basically, she tried to make it look like Selena attacked her so that she could like claim self-defense on it. That way, because she was caught to steal like somewhere between like I think it was like $200,000 or something. I only found that on one article. Another article said 30 grand, but whatever. She embezzled money from this family, right? And
It
so
was
they said
I
that
heard
she
100K. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, there were some thousands of dollars, right? She steals money. And so she obviously gets caught and doesn't want to repay it. And Selena probably like knew about it and called her out on it and stuff because they did know she was stealing. They just, I don't know if they ever said how much or whatever. So she ends up trying to like, she admitted this, that she tried to like make it look like Selena attacked her so she could claim self-defense and then she would never have to repay that money, right?
Yeah.
But obviously that didn't happen. So when people go to prison, at least this prison, I don't know about all of them, you have to take, what is it? I don't know, it's a psychopath test. I can't remember what it's called. It's a very specific name for it. But there's like a 40 points is like, if you score 40 points, you're a fucking psychopath. So you want to score low on the psychopath quiz. She gets like, she's been tested a ton of times. She gets well, like at least above 30 every single time. She's never scored below it. Like she's straight up a psychopath.
It's like you scored 42. It's like, what's the minimum? 40. It's like,
yeah, like what's the max you get? It's 40.
Does that mean I pass? It's like, it means you're on a death row. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, so she is exactly. She should go to death row. So she is literally a psychopath. She doesn't have delusions. She doesn't hallucinate. She doesn't have depression and anxiety like the rest of us. Like she doesn't have anything. She's perfectly sane, basically. I mean, she's insane, but I mean, you know what I mean. Like she's just sitting in there normally. She's basically like Ted Bundy. Like you know when Ted Bundy was like, okay, who cares that I kill people? Like I don't know.
Yeah,
she has
made it
no
seem like it was a normal thing.
you know, I don't know if that's the fucking right word, but like she's not like aware of what actually is happening. Shows no emotion. They literally even said she doesn't have like explosive outbursts like other inmates, like nothing.
Damn. Imagine she might have like invented this whole story and then just went with it and then just believes it at this point.
Who knows? More scary even is that I think the scariest part for me thinking about her just sitting in there is that like imagine how lonely it is, right? Like we feel lonely just spending time alone or whatever. She's alone. She's literally alone all day.
He can't be in his own thoughts.
He can't. She's alone all day, every day. No friends. Well, who knows? Maybe we can't see what she's actually doing there. So maybe she does have friends or made friends with the guards or something, but she's literally confined to this little space, right? She's like the only inmate ever probably that's been in solitary for a long time who hasn't like threatened suicide or tried to kill herself. And that's crazy, right? Because she had that 9-hour fucking standoff threatening to kill herself or whatever, but she hasn't threatened that once in prison. Like, but this is the thing, psychopaths don't kill themselves because they don't feel emotion like we do. So that's why you have, I don't know, it is just literally fucking crazy to me. But she definitely like premeditated this murder, right? So that also makes her a psychopath because it's a planned crime. It's not just something that happened.
She planned it all out, like with the gun, like just with the simple fact you bought the gun and then she returned it and then she went back for it. I mean, even at like the gun stores nowadays, right? They tag that shit. But back then, people were like, she probably needed the gun now. You're right. Yeah. They didn't think much of it. But that's like that's straight like psychopath behavior because she's like, come alone, meet me exactly. only you at this time, you know?
Yeah, come alone to my hotel room by yourself. And then when her husband shows up, she's like, oh, I guess I just won't kill you. So the next day, then she calls her, I need help. I got raped. So the whole story was probably made up because you took her to the hospital just so she could get her alone, right? I don't know.
You know what, Miranda? I'm going to hit you with some controversial shit or maybe some rumors about Selena, since we talked about Yolanda and all this. Oh, one of the biggest ones that I saw, or just going out there, is that, her dad could have had her killed,
He could have.
He could have manipulated Yolanda, like, because this woman was obsessed with Selena, so he could have said anything to her, like the mom thing, like even implemented that, like, oh, it's because you're like a mom to her, saying stuff like that, and then getting her to like what if he said like, me and you will be rich, like kill her and we'll keep her records or whatever. Prison,
but you'll be fine. Like I got you.
Yeah, I got you. Or as soon as you're out, like I'll do this, right?
Speaking
Because
of her,
you said that after she died, her album just blew up, right? Of
yeah, her
course,
album blew up.
like
They
Michael
still released,
Jackson and Whitney Houston.
yeah,
But
they still released
that's
that
just
English
like,
album.
who keeps all that money?
Them. So here's some crazy shit, dude. Is that so? She was married to Chris Perez, right? And he's the
Yeah,
guy that was from Cumbia Kings, all that. They'd been married for a while. So I think they got married like in '92 or something. So they'd already been married 3 years. I don't know how long they were together before that. They were young. They were a really cute couple. They were successful. He played guitar for her. Like they were in love, right? Or so they say. So here's some crazy stuff though. I think Chris is like a good guy. Like I don't think he did anything wrong. I don't think he has any bad part in this murder. He's been like
yeah.
a champ the whole way through, right? So if I say me and Miles are married and
It's
he
like he
doesn't
lost
have
his golden ticket, bro. What do you mean? No, I'm just
right,
kidding.
well, I mean, like say me and Miles got married, right, and he didn't have like I'm his wife at that point, so we're married, he dies, I get his car, unless he says otherwise that it's for his mom or something. Like I get the cars, I get his money, I get this stuff. She Chris should have got this money. Like he should have got her estate, he should have got her money, he gets all this, right? Well, her dad, like immediately after her death, like hires a lawyer to make sure that they get what they deserve, is basically what he says. So Chris, like he stood to inherit everything because they were married. So he should have had control over all that stuff. Um, her dad obviously like takes him to court, sues him. He ends up getting like, so he only gave Chris 25% of Selena's money and her stuff. But hear me out. You know what 25% of her income and all her money was equal to? It was the same that they were paying Selena herself. Her dad was only giving her 25% of the fucking money that she was bringing in, and the rest was going to him and her family or whatever to keep the business going and stuff. So she was only making 25% of the millions of dollars she was bringing in. Her dad got the rest. So they are still having to pay Chris, like, because he did get 25% of her stuff. So when her movies come out, when her songs, like, he still gets those checks. And it's like millions of dollars. So he's still getting money off of it. But he got basically completely fucked because her dad is still like, he's so money hungry and like so sus about everything. He has say in everything. So anything, any movie, any book, any tribute of any kind, like he can sue people for doing it. So like for us talking about it on a podcast, I don't think he can. We about to find out, but like he
We
can.
about to find
We're
out.
about to find out, dude. But he's like sent cease and desist letters to like Selena impersonators. Like how there's Elvis impersonators in Vegas. Like you can't be like a Selena impersonator anymore. If you like they sued Chris after he wrote that memoir. It's like what Selena to Selena with love, or it's something like that. That's not the right name, I could tell, but it's something like that. We'll post that also in our
Yeah,
LinkedIn. But he wanted to like make a show off of the book because it's his perspective on their love story, not her family's and his, because she didn't get to write hers down like they did, So he does his
yeah, of
perspective on
course.
it. They took him to court so that he couldn't make a show on it, and they won. Dude, like he tried to appeal it and everything, and he lost. So now he can't make a movie off of his own book because of them. Tribute bands, he has sued tribute bands who like do tributes to Selena and like sing her songs and stuff. No one can do anything because he goes after them for the money. I don't
I
know.
feel like
Like
all these,
it's really fucking
like
suspicious
any
if you ask me.
conspiracy theory we do, bro, it always comes down to greed.
It does.
How bad the people want the money. I don't know.
I think
I don't
the
know.
dad is sus as fuck.
Yeah,
Sus
and
as fuck.
I listened to another podcast that they were talking about stuff like this. I think it's called Mexicans Be Like. They talked about one of the ladies on there talked about how her grandma used to tour with Los Dinos, the band that Selena used to sing in. What's it called? And she said that like he was part of one of the groups that used to roll with them, and that how Abraham had to have control of everything, like it had to be his way only, and it's just like everything starts to make sense, but in a bad way, which you don't want to look at it like that, but like when you look up all these court cases, all these lawsuits that this guy's filing, maybe in one way he's trying to look like, I'm trying to keep Selena's image clean, right?
Well, that's what he
But
always says. He says he's trying to protect her image.
but I don't feel like that's not the right way though. I
No.
feel like that's just
So there's this lady, and that's the one I was telling you that I messaged on Instagram. Obviously,
yeah.
she's super famous and didn't respond, but she has a book, or there's actually a series called Selena's Secrets, and it's the revealing story behind her tragic death, is what it's called. And there's all kinds of details. Like they said she has an affair, that she was growing unhappy with her career because her father was literally controlling her. The same thing happened to like Beyonce. Her dad was like her manager, and he was taking her money and controlling her and doing all this stuff. And she ended up finally like coming to her senses, and she fired his ass when she was like 30 or something. So Selena was like coming up on, like, she was unhappy with it because he was controlling everything, what she could sing, who she could sing with, who could come to her, this, what she could do with this, like what she could sell in her boutiques, everything. He was controlling everything. So she had told people, right? So then years after her murder, people think like, oh, she was actually having an affair. And of course, no one believed it. Well, there was this doctor, if you wanted, Ricardo Martinez. He's a plastic surgeon, right?
Yeah, in Monterrey, Mexico.
Okay. They said the affair was with him. He, after this, like, I think it was in 2012, so that must be after the memoir was released, right, by her husband, Chris. They asked him, like, what the fuck? What happened? And he confirmed it. They were having an affair. So I don't know how Chris took that, but it pissed the dad off. He comes out and says that they're trying to slander his daughter's image. And so this lady's name is Maria.
So does that
something.
mean Selena's butt is fake,
Celeste.
dude?
No, her butt's, it might actually be fake, because if you look at the pictures, not of her butt, but like of her nose, she definitely got like a nose job or something. But her
Oh,
butt
okay.
might be
I
fake.
believe
But
that.
she kind of has like a young Mexican girl body. But I mean, she might have got, like, her dad probably forced her. He was probably like, you're gonna get some lipo, like you're gonna have a teeny tiny waist, and you're gonna have big boobs and a big butt, and like that's all. And you're gonna get a nose job, and you're like, he might have made her. Like, who knows? Honestly, at this point, he seems
Like,
crazy.
it's the image. You have to keep up with the image.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
the
That's all
superstar.
her. That's all her dad is about, is image, image, image. But for who? Because he's making himself look like a dumbass. And I hate him.
Dumas.
Yeah, dumbass, dude. Anyways, so yeah, this guy comes out and says, "Okay, yeah, we did have an affair." Blah blah blah. So this girl, the 20th anniversary of her book, because I think she published that book in 1997. So the 20-year anniversary happened in like 2017, right? Right? Yeah. And so she re-released the book. I want to read it or like listen to the audiobook or something.
Yeah.
But they portray him in this book as like a money hungry control freak, basically, and that's literally what he is, dude.
Yeah, how do I feel? People from back then, since they didn't have anything as children, when they got older, they just became super greedy. And I feel like he's like, in all those interviews, he talks about Selena when she's younger. Like, oh, I heard her sing, like she had tunes, like she was perfect. Like I knew she was gonna be a superstar. Like Selena didn't have a normal childhood, like
she didn't.
like everyone else.
He
she got
pulled
taken
her out
out
of 8th grade.
Out of school at 11 years old.
Was it 11? Okay, I thought it was like in 8th
11,
grade, but she was
and
young.
then they started touring from when she was 11 to 17, and then when she was 18, she released her album.
I want to go. I had this page that would it had like her accomplishment. Selena.
And then I think was it at the 23 she won the Grammy. So it's like she blew up like kind of quickly after releasing her first album. Was it Como la Flor?
It might have been that one, but there was a list of like awards, and she actually won, like, she was winning things like in Mexico when she was a kid, like a young kid, like she
Oh yeah, I forgot, because she's like the style of music they would sing, like Tejana music.
Yes, she won, like, in that style of music, she won like several like best,
because
best,
she was the first
album,
like lady Tejana singer, like that was good, because there was lady Tejana singers, but she didn't have she was like the first one with a powerful voice, if that makes sense.
It gives me goosies to like think about it. But she so she had already been touring since she won her first award, I guess is what you would call it, when she was 10, and then she won another one like for something. I gotta look at the list because I can't remember all of them, but she won another one when she was 15, and then she starts winning Grammys and doing all this stuff, like, and basically her dad just wanted to live off his kids because his I don't know, Suzette, the brother, AB, what's his face, he's famous, like he still is friends with Chris, like they played in bands together, he's famous too, like, and the dad literally just wants to live off his kids' money. He doesn't do shit besides manage them. This is slander, dude. I'm gonna get in trouble.
He gave yeah, we might get in trouble, but he gave himself a bad image.
The other thing, that lady Maria that I was telling you about, she in the book said that there was like evidence presented that like Selena, you remember I told you that it says like Selena's unhappy and that she was having an affair and all this stuff. There was evidence that she had like packed a suitcase and her passport was in there, and that they like thought maybe she was gonna leave, like something too. So there's all kinds of weird things that could happen, you know, like, and I feel weird because it's like every time someone dies, right, there's going to be conspiracies behind it. And
The unspoken truth, right?
yeah, exactly. You know, you want to look at all the details and make a reasoning for it, even though there might not have been. Like
You
Yolanda
don't
might
want
have
it's
just been a
because
psycho.
sometimes you don't want to accept the truth, so you
Hmm.
make up something, and then like it almost sounds like the truth in your head, but then like you tell someone and they're like, man, you lay off that stuff, right?
Yeah, especially when you're famous, that kind of stuff happens, you know. And if anybody besides Yolanda was involved, like you said, it's got to be some weird stuff with her family. But I don't know. Chris, on the other hand, her husband, whose image and everything on the internet you can find about him is like fairly good, right? Like I didn't see really anything bad about him at all when I was doing my research. He
Right?
ended up,
How do I say? I feel like maybe Selena was probably like on the superstardom. That's why he did right.
yeah,
But I feel like Chris was genuine in love with Selena.
I think so too, and I still think he is. And, you know, he's been involved with all her stuff. Like when she got the Hollywood Walk of Fame, like the star, he was there. When she got her wax figurine at the museum, he was there. Like he's been there for all this stuff, even all these years later. You know, it's been 30 years since she died almost. Or has it been? No, it's almost been 30 years, right? In
Yeah,
2025, it'll be 30 years. And
yeah.
he's been there for all of it. Like he still talks about her. Like if you look at his Instagram, he still like has little tribute posts to her and stuff. Like he truly seemed like he was in love with her. And like if you look at their pictures from when they were young, dude, they were like in their early 20s and like teens, and they looked so happy and like so cute. After she passed away, he actually did end up getting like remarried in 2001. So it was like 6 years later. He has two kids with this woman. They did end up divorcing like in 2008 or something. And I don't think he's been remarried since then. But he
I don't
seems like
know,
a
bro. I don't
genuinely
know.
good guy, dude. I
I
feel
feel I
bad
feel
for him.
like that was your one, right? Like I don't feel
Yeah,
like he probably feels like that. Like damn, she was the love of
yeah.
my
Like
life.
you can marry someone else, but like, is it ever feel the same? You know?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
like
how he
that's mean.
probably
I
was
don't
when he
want
was
to make
married.
his
Like damn, bro. Like I'm making the bread. Like before she was making. No, I'm just kidding.
right. Well, then you like marry someone, and it's like it's never the same. And like you, as much as you don't want to think that, like, because it's not like Selena and him ended like badly, and then he finds out after she died, you know, that there's this affair and everything. Like that's gonna make you feel like a shit. But like maybe he knew about
But
it. Like we don't
maybe
actually know
it was
anything.
like the performing together, bro. That was like I feel like that's like a little intimate thing. Like they toured together,
Yeah,
bro. Like they had a whole like life outside of them being in a relationship. Their
that's
whole
true.
life was basically together.
It's crazy.
Oh, and
But
then even when how would I say when she was just singing, right? He was still
yeah,
like there producing, making the beats and stuff, doing his thing,
yeah.
helping her out.
And
Like,
and
he
he
was
had his
always
own.
there.
And he, you know, was he in his own band at the time? I don't remember, but like he had his own, you know, he
Yeah,
whole
that's when
life
he
as
was
a
like
musician.
when like at the end of I think it's like isn't it like the start or end of Selena? That's when he started Cumbia Kings.
Yeah, because it was after she died that I think he did that. So, but no,
And then he
it's
popped
crazy.
off for like 8 to 9 years. So it was
Yeah, I
like
mean, he's still famous. Like, when you,
90s.
he like, I don't know exactly what he's doing now, but like, he went somewhere. Like George Lopez had an ad out that Chris Perez will be here, and he like does all kinds of stuff still. Like he's famous. Probably because mostly like Selena, you know, he's probably most famous because of her. But I mean,
He still has all the bands. It's literally everybody but Selena. It's like
yeah,
damn, bro. It's
exactly, the
like
whole
damn.
band.
What
Gotta be crazy, dude. But
do you guys think happened to Selena?
what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. Check out our bio for the links that we were talking about throughout this episode. Thank you. Say bye.
Peace.
Yeehaw, brother.